Lesson number 15. Control and coordination. So in our earlier lecture we have studied and discussed about the parts of the brain, cerebrum, cerebellum, medulla oblongata and the spinal cord. Today we will see how the nervous system is divided into the different parts for bringing about the control and coordination in the body. So nervous system is divided into peripheral nervous system and central nervous system. Central nervous system includes brain and spinal cord, while peripheral nervous system includes autonomic nervous system and somatic nervous system. What is the human nervous system? It includes central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. It acts as a highway for information to travel. It controls the movement in the body and also convert information for the brain to read and process. The basic unit of the nervous system is nerve cell or the neuron. So these are the specialized cells that carry message between the brain and other parts of the body, and that is the basic unit of the nervous system. A nerve is a fiber that sends impulses through the body. Even it receives the impulses, stimulus from the outside of the body and convert into impulse which are carried up to the brain. Nerve cells work by the mixture of chemical and electrical action. Two main parts of nervous system are central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. The brain and spinal cord together makes the central nervous system. Brain is protected inside the skull and from there control all the body functions by sending and receiving message through the nerves. There are cranial nerves and spinal nerves. So cranial nerves, the nerves which are originated from the cranium are known as cranial nerves, which are uh, supported to the organ of the head like eyes, ears, nose, tongue, etc. The peripheral nervous system carries the message to and fro from the central nervous system. It sends the information to the brain and carries out order from the brain. Messages travel through the cranial nerves and those which branch out from the brain and go to many places in the head such as ears, eyes, face. Messages can also travel through the spinal nerves which branch out from the spinal cord. There are three types of neurons. Sensory neurons, they pick up the stimuli from outside environment or from inside the body. These are found in organs called receptors: skin, eyes, ears, nose, tongue and glands. They transmit the message to interneuron. Interneuron receives the message from sensory neuron and interpret them. Then they decide where they should send. Motor neurons receive messages from interneuron and send them to organ called effectors, that is muscles and glands. Receptors, information about your surrounding is collected by receptor cells. These are usually grouped together in a sense organ, that is eyes, nose, tongue, ears and skin. Each type of receptor is sensitive to a different kind of changes or stimulus. Skin gives a sense of touch and receives the stimulus like heat, cold, pain, pressure, touch. Eyes senses to sight or vision. Stimulus is given by the light. Nose, smell by the chemical substances. Ear, hearing and body balance, sound and body movements. Tongue, taste and chemical substances. If you are ironing your school uniform suddenly and if you touch the hot iron, what will you do? Will you keep your hand on the iron and think where you should remove it or not, or will you take it away spontaneously? So these are the responses that takes place when you touch unknowingly to the hot object like a pressure pan or the iron. The heat on the object is a stimulus to the receptors in the skin. Impulses are produced, that is electrical messages. So sensory neurons pick up the impulse and transmit it to the intermediate or relay neuron. The impulses travel from the intermediate neuron to the motor neuron. Impulses leave the spinal cord along the motor neuron to the effector, that is to the muscles of the hand. The effector is the bicep muscle which then contract, and this bring about a sudden withdrawal of the hand. So reflex action, where the reflex arc is through the spinal cord, is known as spinal reflex. Whereas a reflex action of the head, such as sneezing or blinking, which only involves a small section of brain, is called as a cranial reflex. Reflex action and reflex arc. The body's automatic involuntary response to the stimulus or the changes in its environment is known as reflex action. It protects the body from the harm. So, how did that reflex happen after you touch the stove? In your hand are there are nerve endings so that pick up a stimulus and carry it to the spinal column and the brain. The nerve ending is called as a sensory neurons because they carry the message from hand to the spinal cord uh, and the brain for the interception. Then the brain interprets, and the reflex arc is formed at the spinal cord, and which give the message to the effector organ like a muscle of the hand through the motor neuron to for taking the action, that is to pull the hand back. The process of the sensory neuron carrying the stimulus to the spinal column and the brain, and then their brain sending a message to the motor neuron, is known as the reflex arc. So tomorrow we will see how the chemical control is brought in our body through the endocrine glands, and how the hormones are secreted and how they affect our body in different types of life processes and the body movements.